So I have a big old pile of books here because I thought it would be a great time to make my first book recommendations video, and specifically for a genre that I love and have a hard time finding books for, which is YA mystery thriller books. I think there's something so nice about YA mystery thriller books because they're just lighter. They will have the intrigue of a thriller mystery book with, some humor, maybe some romance, and it's just not quite as heavy as the adult version is. And that's what I love about these books here. And there are some very prominent writers in this genre. For one, we have none other than Miss Holly Jackson, who wrote the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. If you haven't heard of this, I don't know how. If you search YA mystery books, this is the first thing that comes out. This is like the blueprint, it feels like, or at least at the moment it is. This book series starts off and you follow Pip, our main character, and for her senior capstone project, she is reinvestigating the disappearance of a girl in her town, an incident that happened 4 years ago, and she went missing and was presumed dead, and they found who they thought the perpetrator was. But she kind of digs into this, goes through old police reports, re-interviews people, and finds some things that weren't really talked about prior. And it's just really fun, which is wild to say. I will say the third book, this one, As Good as Dead, does get a little darker compared to the first two books in the series, but overall just such a good mystery. Next we have Five Survive. This is a standalone book from Holly Jackson, and this follows the main character, Red, as her and her friends go on a road trip for spring break. Once they're close to their destination, they make a wrong turn and they kind of end up in this back road on the woods, and they have flat tires because they got shot at by a sniper. And there's someone with a sniper who wants something from one of the six of them. So one out of the six people is hiding something. They have like some secret that this person wants to know, they need to know. So we spend the 12 hours of this book figuring out everybody's secrets, what they're hiding, trying to figure out what this sniper needs to know and why. And it's a kind of ridiculous book. A lot of mystery thriller books are, but it is very entertaining. I do have some beef with Holly Jackson because of the way she ends her books, but I highly, highly recommend all of her books. Next, I have Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Jennifer Lynn Barnes does mystery so well. Starting off with the Inheritance Games. This book follows Avery Grahams, and she's just been notified that she needs to attend a will reading for somebody she's never met, and it turns out this person left her his fortune, which is millions and millions and millions of dollars, and all she has to do is live in his mansion for a year, and she's living there with the family he left behind, his daughters, his 4 grandsons that are close in age to her, and she just gets put into this crazy world. The man was also obsessed with like puzzles, so he leaves these puzzles for her and his grandsons, and they solve these puzzles to like figure out more information to the situations going on. And I just think the puzzles that Jennifer Lynn Barnes comes up with are so interesting, and it's very unique. Like, you won't find another book with puzzles like this. At least I haven't been able to. And it's just such a fun, fast-paced book. The Inheritance Game series is one of the books that got me back into reading. So I adore this series. I love it. The first 2 are the best in the series. Next we have the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This series is good. It is my least favorite series from her, but still very entertaining. This one follows Cassie and 4 or 5 other people who have joined the junior FBI pretty much. Cassie's role in this is that she is a profiler and they are working on cold cases for the FBI, except they often get dragged into active investigations, which is not supposed to happen. But it's a really fun, easy to read book. It is a perfect YA mystery, you know? It is light and fluffy. Next we have Little White Lies. This is part of the debutante duology that she has. I think the series is so fun. It is like very satirical, southern charm, lots of bless your hearts. And this story follows Sawyer, and Sawyer is living with her mother. They are not living in the best situation. Their finances aren't doing too well until her estranged grandmother tracks her down and is like, listen, I will pay for your college. I will give you all this money. All you have to do is live with me for a year and be entered into society and go through your debutante season. And in doing so, she is thrown into this very different lifestyle from hers. And there are lots of secrets that these southern socialites have. And it is just loads of fun. I was chuckling a lot. I highly recommend. Next we have Truly Devious, which is by Maureen Johnson. This series I really enjoy. It is definitely more YA than some of the other books that I have here. And that's not to say it is bad by any means. There are just some things that our main character Stevie Bell does where you're just like, what are you doing? But it's still loads of fun. Basically, Stevie starts school at Ellington Academy, and Ellington Academy was founded in the 1900s by Mr. Ellington. And when the school was supposed to open, his wife and young daughter went missing and were presumed dead, and it was a whole mystery surrounding that. And Stevie applies to this school saying she wants to solve this mystery. And when she's finally there, she is trying to do so while also balancing whatever mischief is currently going on and trying to figure out what it relates to, if it relates to whatever happened back in the day. It is very fun. The original mystery in the series lasts the first 3 books, the original trilogy, and there are 2 other standalone novels so far. There definitely will be another one. There's no release date for it, unfortunately, because I loved book 5, and I just need to know what happens next. But I definitely recommend this book series for sure. None Shall Sleep. I loved this book. This book is what I wanted the Natural series to give. This is similar as in it is another junior FBI story. This one follows Emma Lewis, who is recruited by the FBI primarily because she is a serial killer survivor. And Travis Bell, who has his own history with, oh my god, is his last name Bell too? That's so funny. Stevie Bell, Travis Bell. But Travis has his own history with serial killers, and they are both brought in by the FBI to work on cold cases. This book is just it's kind of a deeper book. It is more of a psychological book. I found it so interesting. I highly recommend this book. There are 2 books out in this series right now. I am extremely hopeful that there will be more. I think there definitely can be based on how the second one ended. I just don't know if the author is currently writing anymore. I discovered this book because of Jennifer Lynn Barnes. A couple of months ago, she wrote an article for the New York Times with some of her YA mystery thriller book recommendations, and this was on there. So, big shout out to her because I loved this. Loved it. Next I have Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. I also loved this. I am also a sucker for like books set in Victorian England, which this is. This follows Audrey Rose and the work she does for her uncle, who is like a coroner, and she wants to work in a similar profession to him, but she can't attend school or classes for it because she's a woman. That sucks. But she is an apprentice under him, and so is the male main character, Trapped. Thomas Cresswell. Love Thomas. Thomas is one of the highlights of this book. But the mystery in this is definitely interesting. Audrey and the people in this book get wrapped into it because, like I said, her uncle is a coroner, so they are doing work with the victims of Jack the Ripper, and they kind of get wrapped up into the investigation for reasons I will not share, but it's very fun. I recommend the second book in the series too. Unfortunately, I haven't read book 3 or 4 yet, but I am sure I will also really enjoy those. I highly recommend this guy. The Firekeeper's Daughter. This is one of the few YA mystery thriller books that I have given 5 stars to. It's a very, very good book. This follows our main character, and she is part of an Indian tribe, and there are sketchy things happening to the point where there's actually an undercover FBI agent, and our female main character kind of gets wrapped into the investigation and working with the FBI to discover what is actually going on within the tribe, what outside forces are there, what is happening inside her tribe, and it is so good. It is so good. I finished this in one night, and it's kind of big for a YA thriller mystery. It's like 500 pages or just short of it, but it was so good. I immediately finished it and ordered the second one. I highly, highly recommend this one. There was a lot of substance to it. A lot of substance. Next I have A Study in Charlotte, a Charlotte Holmes novel. And I am a sucker for anything like Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson-y. I just love it. I think the way that things are deduced is just so interesting. I find it so intriguing, so I'm just like a sucker for it personally. This story follows Charlotte Holmes, who is like the great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter of Sherlock Holmes, and Jamie Watson, who is the great-great-great-great-great-grandson of Dr. John Watson. And they both end up at this private high school in the United States, and they had never met despite their family history, and they kind of get thrown together due to an incident with a fellow student at the school. And I read, there's 4 books in this series. I think the second one is the best, but I just really enjoyed this whole series. It is just a fun, good time. I would check the trigger warnings for this one if you do want to read it though. Next, the Agathas. There are 2 books in this series. This is another one where it's just a good time. It's a good time read. I read both in the series. I don't think about them too much, but it is still a good mystery. It follows 2 female main characters that are kind of unlikely friends. One is a socialite and one comes from a struggling household, and they are unlikely allies who are trying to figure out what happened to one of their classmates. And yeah, that's kind of the story. I don't want to give too much away, but that's kind of the bare bones of her. The last physical copy book I have is The Thieves' Gambit. So this book is kind of unique. I haven't really read any books similar to this, not to say that they don't exist, but I just haven't really been reading them. So The Thieves' Gambit follows our female main character, and she's from like a crime family, like a thieving family, and she gets invited to this like trial/game where the winner gets a favor and a year-long contract with the people who are throwing this game. So basically there's like a few different levels to the trials, and some of them are group activities, like team events, some of them are individual. So there's a lot of backstabbing and manipulation and heists. The heists were pretty entertaining and fun. There are a few twists in this. I definitely recommend. I read this guy in one night again. There will definitely be a second book in this series. I don't know when it will come out. There could be even more, but there will at least be one more in this series. But this is different than the other books I've recommended so far. I just think heists and books are entertaining, and this one is no exception to that. Now, the last book I have to recommend is called Royal Blood. I also got this recommendation from Jennifer Lynn Barnes' article with the New York Times, and this book was just ridiculous fun again. And it follows our main character, who has just been kicked out of like the 10th boarding school she's been enrolled at, and she gets picked up and she's flying on this plane, and she's going to England to see her estranged father, which she's not happy about. And it turns out her estranged father is the King of England, and he is her secret child that he was not supposed to have and nobody knows about. So she's kind of gets thrown into this different life. She meets her stepsister, her dad's real wife, the Queen. And it's not great. It's really not great. And she starts entering this like socialite society, and it's not going too well, but she's made a few friends, but then something happens to one of those friends, and that is where the mystery comes in. I thought this was just entertaining and a very drama-filled book. This is probably the most dramatic, drama-filled book, but I eat that up personally, so I really enjoyed it. There is a second book coming out. I don't know if there will be more, but the second book in the series comes out like next month in April, so I'm very excited for that. But that was my last recommendation. How many books was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 for my ebook. But hopefully there were some books that I talked about that you haven't heard of, or you've heard of but didn't really know a lot about, and now you're willing to give a chance. But if there are books that I didn't talk about that you recommend, please comment down below, because I am always looking for book recommendations in this genre. I am borderline desperate for them. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and thanks for watching.